Hello everyone. I finally, after much talking about it, have gotten out the old photo albums. They're not as old as I thought they were, but they're old. I'm guessing late 1800s. Here are three I found loose. This was a whim. It was like, let's get these out and look at them. And these have purple or blue. I found one with blue on the back, and I'm assuming that's so it doesn't fall out, but I think they're pretty. Then, and I'm going to be honest with y'all, this is the second time I videotaped this. Because the first time, I forgot an entire photo album. And you couldn't see half the pictures. Well, yeah, that wasn't going to do. This is old. Now, my mother-in-law was married to the Dietrichs, and but I don't know if it was the photographer Dietrich. Look at that precious baby with the mouth wide open. Is that not cute? I think that could have been Greg's great-grandfather. Maybe just grandfather, great-grandfather, just because I had that dress. Now, maybe it was just one he had. I don't know. This one, look at those men. Now, there's no writing on them. It says Rutledge, Missouri, but that's just where he lived, or it was taken, one of the two. This paper's pretty cool. So no idea who these are. Back in the horse days. The big old bicycle. Two sisters. Now, what am I going to do with these? I don't know. If you got a suggestion, let me know. These here are not going to have any sentimental value. Because they're so old, we have no idea who they were. Look at that old barbershop. You know, let me bring it over. So I'm not the only one looking at them. The hairstyles are not what I think of. And then this is the last one that must have fallen off. Now this is Trenton, Missouri, which in football we play Trenton, but it's a little ways off. Look at that one. Now this isn't something hanging out of his nose, that's where the paper's torn. That suit with that kind of tie. I'd love to know the names and the stories. This is a very heavy photo album. It's got a cool kind of spine covering there, but it's well worn. Now, the next one, let me see if that's the first one or not. Now, this talks about when Greg's grandparents were married, but it doesn't give a year to it, which I found kind of interesting. No idea who these people are. And Grandpa George was an only child, so it's not like, you know, some of these pictures are aunts, uncles. I don't know. Little family picture there. Now there's some names. Now this says Minnie Riebel, which would have been his great-grandmother. So I'm guessing these are her photos, and Greg is 70. So if his mother was living, she would be over 90. So, you know, these people lived a long time ago. That's why I'm saying the 1800s is my guess. Look at that. He's holding his hat and he's got his coat. Alex and Minnie Rebel. Bertie, okay, Alec and Minnie Rebel were his great-grandparents. And when you start getting back and you don't know the people, it's sometimes hard. Now, some of these people, if I had looked at them when my mother-in-law was alive, she might have known, because her folks lived with her grandparents, and she was raised with her grandparents as an only child in a house still on our farm. So, you know, she'd have known the people coming in and out. Whether or not she remembered them, I don't know, but she'd have remembered stories about them. And I'm curious as to where all the other pictures went that are not in here. But look at that well, it feels like corduroy. It was velvet. I can feel some of the, or really soft I don't know. So there is that one. And I'm not going to keep you forever looking at these. I know some of you are interested and some of you are not. So that little girl's trying to get out of her chair. It's really light. You can't hardly see it. Okay. I wonder if that was the school teacher. She has her book with her. Lyda Adams. That's not a name you hear too much. Nice little photo album. You know, some of these you wonder if they ended up in somebody's locket. Boy, he looks fierce. Mr. Lester Adams. Now, my mom's grandfather's name was Lester Carson. And nobody ever knew that because his dad called him Joe. His tombstone has Joe on it. Here his mother worked and worked on coming up with the beautiful name of Lester Carson. And he said, call him what you want. I'm calling him Joe. She might as well have named him Joseph. Old, can you see that wool? Some kind of animal. I don't know if it looks white. I don't know that it is. Eula, U-E-L-L-A. Eula? But it was funny, and he did that with all his boys. That's all he had were sons. I couldn't tell you even how many of those. Now, I need to ask Mom while she's, can tell me. This was taken in Memphis, Missouri. Look at that little picture. And some of these I might use for something, I don't know what. Now here's just some mail they received. No pictures in them. And this would have gone like that and clasped. Isn't that a beautiful clasp? I think this one's my favorite of all the three. And now if you would like me to do a repeat of these and go much slower, and these are not all I have. But if you would like me to go through more or something, please just let me know. Now this is very difficult to see. I'll hold it up. This is Grandma Ruth, Greg's grandmother, maternal grandmother, her parents. But my son is no more going to want to look at these than Man the Moon. Now, some of these are labeled, but I'm sure you couldn't care less who they are. I like this one. Isn't that a sweet picture? Those two girls with the puppy. Oh, the stories these photo albums could tell if they could talk about the pictures. You know, it's kind of sad that photo albums are kind of not a thing anymore because kids keep them in their phone. You know, how are they going to pass them on down? You know, their great grandchildren aren't going to see them. I mean, I'm 65 and I have great nephews and nieces. Yeah. But it's like I told one of them just the other night, you know, being a great aunt just means I'm extra wonderful. That's all that is. Now, this is kind of that metal. I'm not sure what that's called. Is that like a, oh, it starts with a D. I'm not even going to butcher the word by trying to say it. But if you know, I'd appreciate it if you'd tell me. Don't worry about spelling it correctly. I'll figure it out. Look at those old shoes. I mean, this was the only way of preserving history for these families. Now, this square is in the town I live next to now. That's where the kids go to school, and that's one side of the city square, town square. It's 1,800 people in it. Does not look quite like that, but some of the buildings are there because I recognized it. Saturday was the day you went to town because everybody went to town, and that's how you caught up on all the gossip. Now, this is 1957. This would be my husband at 2 and his brother at 5. I don't know who that is, but I would say Greg's mom knew, or she probably wouldn't have cut out that picture. This is, we've got a lot of railroad tracks. No idea which one that's close to. Look at that old car. Somebody was a styling. Some of these will pop right off, and if they do, I'm keeping them. I have no idea what I'm going to do with them, but nobody else needs them. And I might. What I'm going to need them for, don't know. I may someday. But they're not holding any pictures, so. And I looked in the box they were in, and the photo albums that were in the same box are from, that tore all up. Now, this would have been the house over on the other farm. I recognize this as the back porch. I was not around when anybody lived there, although I did know Grandma Ruth. So that might have been Alec. No idea if it was Alec or somebody that came to visit him. And now this does have their names. And Grandma Ruth is in this picture. And she'd have been over 100 when she died now. So she'd have been born in the early 1900s. I do wish there'd been more dates. I'm just nosy that way. This was the Methodist College in Cameron, Missouri. And I'm just saying that in case some of you know where those towns are. Might have been. Now this, look at that baby. Is that not a sweet baby? This is Grandma Ruth in her teens. No more looks like that. When I knew her, of course she was in her 80s when I knew her. Greg might remember her younger. Now they had a farm. Grandma Ruth was raised on a farm over in Wyaconda, and we owned that land for a while and then his mom sold it. So this would have been like the barn and the house and stuff like that over there. This would have been that farm. Isn't that fun? Now, like I said, if you would like a slower video, let me know. You know, if you'd say, you know, I'd like this, you went way too fast. Just say so, because I can bring them out again. They're hard. I'm going to put these up here in a drawer that I've got for right now. I'd like to get through some of these photo albums. There's lots of slides Greg would like to get through. I want to go through the photo albums rather than the slides, because I know the slides are his mom's trips and vacations, and he probably was with them, but I like the old pictures. So welcome if you're new. If you haven't subscribed, I'd appreciate you subscribing. This isn't a photo channel. I just found these and thought some of you might enjoy a short little take-along. So thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you're having the best of days. Get out some photo albums. Take a look at them. And always remember, you have a purpose. Bye for now.